We're here today with Judge TARYN Heath, Stark County Court of Common Pleas, and she was just telling me before we went on camera that she's been on the bench 13 years. Congratulations, Judge.
Thank you.
We're here today to talk about electronic filing in courts, I think popularly known as EFILE. And looking at the material that I have, it seems like Stark County's been considering implementing e-filing since 2011?
That's correct.
How did it get its start? Do you know where that came from?
I absolutely do. I attended a judicial conference, and Montgomery County did an e-filing demonstration there. And I brought the concept back to the court. I was very excited about the prospect of bringing e-filing to Stark County. And after that, after coming back and discussing it at the judges' meetings, we got the go-ahead to explore the possibility of bringing e-filing to Stark County. And originally, I assembled a committee that was comprised of attorneys, public officials, the clerk's office, to talk about how we were going to go about bringing e-filing to Stark County. And we began a search of vendors. We drafted an RFP, which was a very tedious and long process. And then we put the RFP out for bid. We then entertained the vendors who responded to that RFP for demonstrations and arrived at the selection of TARYN. Is the vendor that we did select
and that
for our e-filing project.
And that happened in 2015.
Correct, yeah.
So it took, what, several years to get the RFQ together to be able to put it out?
Yeah, the RFP was drafted and published in 2013.
Okay.
And we had, I believe, 3 bids, and then we did enlist the help of the National Center for State Courts in reviewing and drafting the final contract. I wanted to make sure this wasn't something that we were particularly familiar with. Of course, we had our prosecutor's office review the contract as well, but we did get outside assistance because I wanted to make sure that we had all of our I's dotted and T's crossed.
Now, did the courts structure a financing factor to provide monies along the way as this developed?
Well, yeah. We had to have all the money before we entered into the contract because you cannot contract as a governmental entity. And actually, I believe the contract is with the Stark County Commissioners, the court, the clerk, and TARYN, if I'm not mistaken. Dwayne,
I think that's correct.
Yeah. You cannot contract without having the funds with which to pay for the project.
Totally, or just at the time?
No, I believe totally, or knowing that you will have it
okay.
when the payments become due. So we, before we even drafted the RFP, we started with the addition of a filing fee, an additional filing fee to begin garnering the funds that we would need for this project. And we also approached family court at the time to see if they were interested, and they did the same thing. We are including probate court in the project. However, they do not have the statutory authority to add a filing fee the way common pleas and family court do. So while they're going to be included in the project, because we all want to be good partners and we want all the courts to participate, it is only the family court and the general division that put on the additional filing fees to finance this project. And I should mention that originally I also included all the municipal court clerks to see if they were interested in coming in at this level. They weren't at the time, but we have structured our project so that the portal through which e-filing will occur, should at any time the respective municipal courts want to participate in this e-filing project, that they will be able to.
Would there be a buy-in if that happens for?
I suspect there would have to be something that they would have to do, and maybe contract individually with Tibera to tie them all in. It would be wonderful, especially when we get cases transferred, both civil and criminal, from the municipal courts, either the bindovers or civil cases that exceed the jurisdictional authority of the municipal courts, or for other reasons are transferred to us. It would be electronically transferred. I envision and hope that one day that will be the case.
Is the fee a set fee?
Yes, it's $50 additional, I believe.
I think you're
For each case filed, correct?
civil.
Civil case, okay.
Civil.
Are there any plans to assess the fee? As you're 4 phases, I think, into bringing this program on. Is it just civil fees that's going to support the whole system?
Yeah, I think it's unrealistic. I mean, let's be honest, court costs in criminal cases are difficult to collect to begin
Right.
with. Most of the criminal defendants that appear before the court are indigent. I do believe that the civil filing fees will be the primary source of supporting the project.
How about the Court of Appeals? I talked to the Summit County Clerk of Courts earlier today, and she tells me that their system includes the Court of Appeals. Is that going to happen with Stark County?
We did contact them initially as well, and I believe that the reason that they were not interested is because of the unique characteristics of the 5th District. There's 15 counties, and many of those are rural counties, and I think, and I don't want to speak for them, but my recollection was that they didn't want to have a separate system for Stark County without having that being able to be afforded to the other counties as well.
Okay. And so the total project, as I look at a sheet provided to me by the court administrator, Mr. Hemphill, it's almost $2 million, 1.8. Is that? Do I have the? Am I reading that correctly?
That is the amount of funds that we have collected to
But
date.
that doesn't.
The-
The actual cost of the system, I think, now that you jogged my memory, is going to be somewhere more or less $1 million.
Correct.
Okay.
The contract with Tibera
Okay.
is about $1 million project. The rest of the funds, there's a variety of things that will have to be used for training, equipment. Help me, Dwayne. What am
The
I?
annual maintenance of the system will enter into a separate contract near the end for that, and the any work modifications as we customize it more in the months and couple years to come.
So, is the fee going to stay what it is, or is there a notion that it'll be adjusted up or down depending on what the disparity is between your revenue and your expenses?
That decision will have to be made later when we see what the maintenance contract's going to be. And that, yeah, obviously, if we can adjust it downward, we will. I mean, we expect the users of the court to support what we're doing. We do believe that there will be ultimately cost savings as a result of the implementation of e-filing. And we also believe that the users will have cost savings as well. So I think it's a win-win for both the users and the clerk and the court.
And looking across the sheet that was provided to me, It looks like there's, except for a couple years, a rough analogy between the revenue and expenditures. Of course, in 2015 and 2016 is when the family court, I believe, if I'm correct, made their contribution, and that's why we're up over $500,000 for 2015 and over $300,000 for 2016. Would that be an appropriate read of this document?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So ideally, going forward, get a handle on a consistent expense picture, then you'll be in a better position to determine what that fee should be to support the system. Did you get any grants? Is just filing fee supported?
We've actually applied for grants associated with e-filing and have not received any.
Okay. And is that going to be an ongoing effort, or are you convinced that it's just not in the cards?
I don't know the answer to that question.
I can tell you our recent experience with the Supreme Court Technology Grant, which we have applied for various items over the last several years. And the formula that the Supreme Court uses relates back to what you already talked about, the rural counties who don't have the money. Their formula gives more weight to the rural courts' technology needs than one of the 10 major urban courts like ours.
Okay.
So we have not been successful. We've repeatedly applied, but most of those state grants go to the poorer counties.
Okay. Yeah. For instance, I talked to through email to Ross County officials, and they talked about receiving a grant. Now, I don't have the specifics on that, but it's probably pretty likely that Ross County would be an example of getting some grant money from the Ohio Supreme Court. And by the way, Ross County has Tibera also.
Oh, good.
And they tell me that they're very happy with the system. Summit County, on the other hand, has done it in-house pretty much. And the clerk in Summit County referred to something called CIG that works with their internal system. So apparently there's a number of different models. We had 3 bids here in Stark County. So it's likely an emerging field.
Yes. I would say this, that we have a very, we have the system that Montgomery County is utilizing, and I believe Hamilton County, if I'm not mistaken.
Same system?
And Franklin.
Mahoning.
All
use Tibera.
All use Tibera. And the absolutely unique thing about this program, and what's so exciting to us and what's different than what some other courts are doing, it's what we call a fully integrated system. So upon the filing, the electronic filing of a document, it will be automatically imaged, docketed, and available online. Additionally, an NEF, Notice of Electronic Filing, will be emailed to every party or their representative associated with the case. So you could be sitting in your office and opposing counsel files something in your case, and within minutes you will get an email notifying you that something was filed in one of your pending cases, and you can literally go to your email and open up a link and see that document almost like simultaneously.
Is that through CGIS, or is that a different?
That's the Tibera eFlex model.
Okay.
The other thing is it's also tied into the court, which a lot of e-filing systems that counties are using are only clerk systems. Ours is fully integrated so that the workflows will automatically be electronically transferred to the appropriate judge's staff. to whom the case is assigned, and we will be able to then funnel that work out to the appropriate person on our staff. If our magistrate needs to do some work, if the bailiff needs to do some work, if the administrative assistant needs to do some work on the case, or if the judge needs to do some work on the case. And it's all going to move electronically through our offices, and then back, like proposed orders would come to me, and with the click of a button, I can electronically sign and cause to be filed a judgment entry.
Okay. Now, how about CGIS? Is there any connection at all?
Yes.
Between this system and CGIS?
CGIS will be the portal for e-filing. In other words, filers will go to the Justice Information System, the Stark Justice, and I think they actually changed the name of it. It's no longer the Criminal Justice Information System, but the Stark County Justice Information System.
Makes sense.
And that will be the portal that filers will go to access e-filing for the Stark County Court of Common Pleas.
Okay. Now, you talk about the speed of documents being available to the attorneys. Will it, for those of us who have access to CGIS, like media, will we also be able to see documents that quickly?
I don't know why not.
Okay.
You wouldn't get the notice of filing.
Yeah, you
Right,
wouldn't
well, you
notice.
get that. Right.
But if it's docketed and imaged, as soon as it's docketed and imaged, if it is a docket that is available to the public, for example, the juvenile docket is not available, but anything that's accessible to the public, the imaging and docketing will be there.
Okay. Yeah, and right now, I use CGIS pretty often because a lot of my work involves court cases.
Sure.
And they have the notice factor even for me. So maybe that'll work for me. This is intriguing how you're describing this. Now, this project got started in 2011, and I think I was in Hawaii at the time, but I think recently Mr. Hemphill was over to the Stark County Commissioners, and there was a discussion about the status of our e-filing. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Hemphill, but one of the statements reportedly you made was that one of the delays in Stark County getting up and running had to do with our antiquated IT system in the courthouse complex. So am I stating that correctly?
Not doing it. Okay, not exactly. The case management system in the clerk's office was written in a antiquated language, computer language, and one of the delays was when we realized that this CMS system needed to be rewritten and we needed a new case management system. We did not think it was advisable to place the e-filing system on top of a case management system that was going to have to be redeveloped. My direction in this e-filing project has always been, we're going to do it right, not fast. Yes, we are all anxious and frustrated by the fact that we don't have e-filing up and running at this point in time, but it's more important to have it done right. I know a number of counties who have bought off-the-shelf case management systems, paid a lot of money for them, and ended up throwing them away. And they could do their e-filing, but they didn't have the customization that you get when you write your own case management system. So our clerk's office, their IT department is responsible for drafting the new case management system. And they have run into some roadblocks in losing IT staff during the course of this project. And to be honest with you, it's the case management system development that is holding up the e-filing project. They're two different things. There's the case management system, and then there's the e-filing system. And we have to have the case management system done for the foundation. We discovered in late 2015 that that the clerk's case management system was going to have to be redeveloped, or we were going to have to buy a case management system. And we made a collective decision with the analysis that we acquired by the National Center for State Courts to determine what our best path forward would be. And they came in, they looked at the development of the case management system and helped us evaluate whether we proceed with the development of a new case management system or purchase an off-the-shelf system. And they confirmed what we believed, and that was that the in-house development of a new case management system was the best path forward. It would take more time, but it was the right decision and the best path
More
forward.
customization, right?
Exactly.
Right. So is the problem solved in terms of attracting IT people to the clerk's office in terms of their remuneration? And are funds, are those folks paid out of your revenues from the fees, or do their funding come from a different source?
The funding for the IT departments of the clerk's office is paid for by the clerk's office. The funding for the IT employees of the court staff is paid through the court's budget. We recognized when the clerk's office lost 4 IT employees to the private sector and 2, I think, to the public sector, that we as a court and a clerk and as a county were not offering competitive salaries to IT professionals. And the project literally came to a screeching halt.
About when?
When those employees were lost.
Late
That was
summer.
late summer last year, July, August last year.
Of 2018?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And that's when we approached the commissioners. We did our homework. We got some comparison numbers from similarly situated counties such as ourselves in terms of size and geographic and statistical similarities. We also contracted with a occupational evaluator who gave us a report on what the fair market value of an IT professional was in terms of salary. That's when we had that meeting with the commissioners, made them aware of the problem, and I think it was pretty much the family court, the general division, the clerk's office, and I think there was actually a representative of the auditor's office there that, while they weren't involved in this process, confirmed that they were having difficulty attracting IT professionals at their current levels. And I think we communicated to the commissioners that we needed to be offering people more salary in order to retain and attract the type of IT professionals that we need on our staffs.
Not too many years ago, the commissioners created a human resources department. Is this particular problem being worked through that department at all?
I don't know the answer to that question. I do know that when the jobs were reposted at the higher salary levels, that we immediately got attractive candidates and were able to hire people.
Was that at the clerk of courts level?
Clerk of courts.
You
We
don't-
haven't
you
hired
don't have
any
the problem
new IT staff.
Pardon?
We have not hired any new IT staff for the court, but we have increased their salaries to make them competitive because we didn't want our IT people to be hired by the clerk's office.
How many IT people does the court have?
3.
Three.
Three?
Yeah.
And
forget
what,
about
there's a
three.
couple in the clerk's office too?
I believe there's 4 or 5.
Oh, okay, so, but now you feel you're over those problems and it's full speed ahead?
I do. I mean, they're just getting on board and getting up to speed, but I do feel that we are in a position to start moving forward at a pace that we were at prior to last summer.
So originally, I am reading this document correctly, and I always qualify my point and stand to be corrected, but the original idea was that the system would be up and running all 4 phases by March of 2017?
That was in the original contract, yes.
Yes.
Those milestones.
Yes. But remember that contract was negotiated not knowing that the case management system would not support the project. So I have to say that Tibera has been very patient, cooperative, and helpful to us, and we've kept them informed of what our challenges are. And they've worked with us. It's been seamless. We have a very good working relationship with them.
Who identified the problem with the case management system, and when did that become known?
That was brought to my attention I'm looking here, in the summer of 15, after we had the contract finalized with Tibera, and I believe Mark Warner was the court administrator at that time, and he brought it to my attention. I think the clerk's IT staff brought it to the clerk at that time's attention. I think Nancy Reinbold was clerk in 2015, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. There was that was about the time there was, if I recall correctly, there was a changeover in who the clerk was. But do you think that the clerk's office itself identified this problem? Did Tibera have anything in terms of analyzing the interface and say, hey, you folks have a problem here?
I believe they were involved
In the
in
discussions.
the discussions to try and get everything
Do the
unified. And
interface.
So,
problems were coming up.
okay.
Yeah, and I think they supported the decision to hold off implementing the e-filing until the new case management system was developed.
Okay. So,
That decision was made in conjunction with Tibera.
So to sum up what you've told us in this interview, it wasn't an antiquated system, it just wasn't one that was meshing with Tibera. Is that?
Well, it was an unsupported system in a language that is no longer used.
So it was an antiquated?
Yes, it was antiquated,
Okay,
yes, definitely.
Okay, just to clear that up. So now what's the projected date to have all 4 phases up and running?
Well, I guess we'll call it the voice of experience here. We don't like to set an actual projected date because we've had our hearts broken a number of times in the past. And as I told you before, I've always communicated to our staff that I want this done right, not fast. However, I do have reports that we are very close to completing the case management system. And once I receive information that that has been completed, then I would be in a better position to project when we can move forward with Tibera coming in and installing the eFlex system. We'll go to a testing mode and then training.
I know you can't.
Can I say I'm hopeful?
Okay.
Because I don't want to commit. I think it's unfair to commit when you don't have the
What the
information.
date specific?
I'm hopeful that we'll be able to go live before the end of the year.
Okay.
Civil.
All right, that's
Civil,
good.
yeah,
That's
I mean-
good enough, because I understand that,
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to see this done more than myself. This is an exciting project to me. I'm the one who brought it to the court. I know that it's a $1 million project that's important to Stark County, and we want to see it done right. But I'm definitely seeing that light at the end of the tunnel now.
okay. Well, thank you very much, Judge Heath and the Court Administrator Hemphill, for answering our questions and giving us a very thorough look at the status of the Stark County e-file system.
Thank you.